Today we're going to look at what happens to life between the lives. Now, big disclaimer here, I cannot explain the unexplainable, so in some respects this is just one big fantasy, one story. However, the sentiment and the intention behind it is that it may stir something up, it may sort of like get you thinking on a deeper level, and that might bring around that sense of calmness, that reduced anxiety about death and what actually goes on, and it might actually unlock something for you as you contemplate it. It might bring that back, that remembrance of oh right, yeah, I can sort of like see how this has happened and what is unfolding from past lives as such. So to put this into context, it was only a few weeks ago I'd shot one of the daily videos like I've been doing. I went to the gym, which was a good sort of like 40-50 minute drive away, and I was in the steam room. And you know, when you watch the water drip off, you know, it's interesting just to touch your skin and let the water roll off because you're there in the steam room, hot and sweaty. Well, anyhow, I had it round here, and it was like, oh, it was like a memory of being in chains, and I couldn't escape this part, and it was like an eternity of being stuck, and then all of a sudden, this was, the whole body was compressed, and just that one little drop, that one essence of me survived and came through. Now, there's a term, going through the ringer, which means going through that eternity of trauma and turmoil and coming out the other side. But then there's also the term going through the ringer, which means the old-fashioned kind of wind up, squeezing out you like the old washing machine. You squeeze it out, and these, you know, your clothes come out dry. But it's that drop, that drop of essence of who you are. For me, that was this whole kind of pain as such, and this whole eternity of just being stuck under a rock, if you like, and all of a sudden then appearing out the other side. So this is what I had this recollection of. And this is something that I had several times in childhood as a nightmare kind of thing. It's one of those ones that you wake up and think, am I back? You know, where am I? It was very traumatic as a child to have that kind of dream. And then I was reminded of that again doing ayahuasca 7-8 years ago. That dream came back up again to be processed, and since then I might have had it once or twice just as a reminder, but I feel that, you know, I've done enough work on that to really understand what it is. But and I've also done a lot of work on the art of dying and what death means, and that's a whole different story for another time. But yes, this whole concept for me is beautiful, and the more I delve into these layers, the more I understand. And isn't it funny, you know, a lot of these videos we're talking about in the here and now, what can we do to actually work with that shadow and this childhood conditioning, and you know, we think that we're getting there, and then all of a sudden a whole load of past life kind of trauma is still around for us to deal with. Yeah, many layers, and so I've been dealing with that. And coincidentally, yesterday I was actually on a vortex class, which was all to do with transforming the incarnational intelligence. And Rick, the main lineage holder, or the lineage holder, one of the concept was that when we die, our consciousness doesn't just sort of like evaporate into the collective consciousness and dissipate and in that eternal scream of reality. It's more like it goes into its own realm, its own little bubble, because it's still processing what went on in this life, and because it's in that incarnational form, it's in this bubble, and it's waiting to actually go into its next incarnation. So that was something that I hadn't quite heard before, and I'm still sitting with that and processing it. Yes, you know, I totally see it. And what I want to add to that, and what I have this knowing of, is that we will keep incarnating until we come to this place of completion. So we've seen that polarities, you know, we've gone from the whole kind of lack and destitute to total abundance, and we've found that middle ground as well. So there's lifetimes I know that I've been in total lack and in abundance. Even in this lifetime, to be fair, you know, I've been homeless on the street in the streets in London, and I've been doing very well abundantly and living the life kind of thing. So that whole polarity. I've also equally gone from anger, frustration to acceptance and joy. But in a bigger scale, in different lives, you know, I've been a murderer, I've murdered, and been murdered, and all these kinds of things have played out in my life, and past lives, not this life, sorry, in past lives. Not a murderer. Don't call the FBI, police, whatever. So, right, back on track. So yeah, we play out all these scenarios, and it's divinity getting to know itself through these polarities, and playing out these experiences until we come to a point where there is this completion. And another word for completion is this wholeness. We've experienced the whole totality. And wholeness is a very similar word to holiness. You know, that divinity, that devotional sanctity. And you know, this is something that I've been seeking, something that I've known that's been part of my path is to come to this place. And so hence, this is why I do all this spiritual work, this personal development, these healings, the whole kind of kit and caboodle. So this has been my journey, and something that I'm thriving with doing. So yeah, as I say, there's many layers, and you just think that you're sailing quite good, and all of a sudden there's something that you haven't seen, and all of a sudden it comes up. So I haven't played video games or games on apps for many years, but the Candy Crush, you know, yeah, so things drop down, and you pop a few things here, and all of a sudden, you know, it unlocks the next level and things like that. Again, it's kind of like that kind of thing. So doing some work with my past life stuff, all of a sudden, you know, in my dreams last night, something from not an ex, but ex-girlfriend came up, and I'm reprocessing something that went on there, and I'm getting that greater clarity because something else has been blocking that vision as such, and it's just bringing more and more kind of clarity, more and more awareness. It's always been there, but it's just been hidden. So it's a beautiful thing. And then finally, I'll just leave on the fact, you know, that we are playing out these kinds of events, these kinds of dramas, these kind of polarities in this current life that we're in. And you know, it may seem cruel, this whole kind of karmic karma that we're going through, like it's it's very unusual, it's like a punishment, but actually, in truth, it's not. It's actually grace in action. It's the mechanism that allows us to see vividly where our wounds and patterns are. So yeah, it's all about working with these wounds, these patterns, being able to be at ease with them, to understand them fully, to process them, to complete what needs to be completed in order to actually evolve. And yeah, that's why I'm going. That's my wish for you, and this sharing is all about just giving that little bit of insight as to something else to consider, something else to sit with, something else to contemplate, and yeah, to embody, to live through, to thrive from. So hope all that made sense. As always, please reach out if you've got any questions. Please leave any comments below, like and subscribe. All right, see you next video. Ciao for now.